All right, welcome guys. Because of time, I think we've started late. I think I'll just go straight to the slides. So basically, this is our second project as a team. The first one we had yesterday, and for NLP. This one is demand forecasting, and I'll walk through a document that I had shared previously, and then on the first session give a very clear understanding of what the problem will be solving under this project-based learning. And then in the second session, I'll just give an intro on what forecasting is. It is what it is and some of the key areas within which we will be learning, some of the concepts that we'll be learning. Sometimes would look like they're out of this world, especially to beginners. But I would really, really encourage you guys not to be scared by any of these words. They get better and better. It's like when you're little or when you're younger, maybe maybe around 5 years old, 6 years old, you could hear some words, but they never shook you. Words that you never understood. And even some kids nowadays, they even use words that they hardly understand and they laugh. But later on, that's when they realize, okay, this word, this is what it meant. And life moves on. That is how I would want you to look at some of these terminologies. Let them not scare you. It's a word, you read it, try and get some concept. Along the way, it will come clearer and clearer, and it will get better. That's what will happen. I can assure you. Okay. So demand forecasting. Actually, surprisingly enough, the meeting I was in a few minutes ago, we were discussing about demand forecasting, and there is a project that I'm planning to do with some other guys about demand forecasting. So it's just a good coincidence that I'll be running two projects side by side on demand forecasting. So demand forecasting is, let me put it this way, on a lighter note, it's like someone telling you about the future. And from where I come from, anyone who tell you about the future, some people who are so, what is this word? Eric, you were quite meeting. You know, I didn't do introduction, so I don't know who's there and who's not there. Erico.
Yes, yes.
You're there.
Which one? Me or another one?
You, the one and only. There is a word I'm looking for. Guys who are known to tell you the future. For example, if I was to buy for not prophet, it's a weird wrong, right, off name. Like for instance, if I wanted to become the governor of Nairobi, I normally visit these people and I tell them, this is my plan.
Which doctors?
Yes. But in this case, we're not going to learn how to become witch doctors. We're just going to use the data, because witch doctors, they never ask for data. Yeah?
But get money like them.
Yes, but get money like them. So the difference between witch doctors and what we are doing is, as guys, we are factual. We study the data of the past, and we don't look for jugs and all these stones and all these bones. We look for data, historical data, and then we use a defined scientific approach to make predictions. So situations where these come in handy is, for instance, you want to see how the sales would be for a certain company, or for the next, say, 1 month, or for the next, say, 2 months. It could be sales. It could be if you are so successful in your marketing. Yeah, you can have one company that is very, very effective in their marketing, but they don't grow as fast as they should. Why is that? So if a company does a very effective marketing, there are several failure points. The first failure point is the moment the marketing is being run, customers would respond. how fast are you to deliver the service that you've actually marketed? Yeah. So if you're promoting a certain product, let me say a certain laptop, and then you get like say 50,000 responses, yeah, in a week. Will you be able to serve those customers? Or will you have to tell other customers, give us 3 months because we have to import this laptop, we've run out of stock? That will work against you. It's going to work against you. So forecasting would help you that in the past, you've done this kind of marketing and this is how it has, customers have responded. And because you're planning to do a similar, this is what we foresee. We foresee that instead of 50,000 customers responding, we foresee that you will get 60,000. And the last time you did 50,000 and your the actual laptops that you had were 40, so we lost 10,000. By the time we are contacting them that we already have the laptops, the customer they had moved on. So forecasting to some extent helps in things like supply chain. So you make sure that you have secured enough stock so that when the customers actually respond, you have the stock to give your customers. The second thing that forecasting helps is the team that actually receives these responses. If it is a phone call, if it is an email, they are more responsive. So you will know, do I need 10 people? Do I need 20 people? Do I need 100 people? So you will know that for 60K, I need 100 people. And my daily workforce is normally 5. Can I employ others on temporary basis until this campaign ends? So all those things need to work hand in hand, connected, and demand forecasting forecasting generally connects all the pieces together. Yeah. So eventually you don't have one team like marketing doing a very, very good job, but now either you're let down by either the supply department, or the procurement department, or the customer support department. So you're all working together based on anticipated traffic that was predicted. And because you anticipate 1,000, you are well prepared. So ideally, this is the context within which we are going to learn. We are going to learn how to forecast demand either for products or for customer support. Okay. Now, how is the journey going to look like? So ideally, this slide that you're looking at right now is going to be our journey. As I've mentioned before, it's starting today until mid of September, today being the 16th of July, 2020, until mid of September, around 15 thereabout. The first thing is just to go through the intro, the problem statement, and that is what we're going to do today. We'll go through the problem statement that you're going to solve. And I'll also create some time where we deliberate. The classes that you're going to do, the difference between project-based class and the previous classes where knowledge is just transmitted 90% of the time one way. Project-based class, everyone needs to participate. So if it is coming to like today's session where we are looking at problem statement and we are looking at brainstorming what problem we need to focus on, you need to participate. There is engagement, okay? Pali hauelewi, raise it so that we know at what speed we move. Pali, you need to contribute. If someone is taking your airtime, like I'm normally a culprit. I like, more often than not, if I'm not controlled, I take airtime ya kila mtu. So you can stop me, Ayub, ebu hash kidogo, I have something I want to say. You're allowed to do that. That is the difference. So the first class, which is today, we are going to go through the problem statement, understand and brainstorm what problem should we focus on? What problem should we focus in making the predictions? And like I've said, we have product forecasts, product demand forecasting, and we also have customer support demand forecasting, yeah, for the various reasons, okay? So people will chip in their contributions. We can even narrow down to like top 3 suggestions and eventually vote and pick one problem. Once we pick that one problem, the next thing I'm going to do today, I'm going to touch a base on this is normally a problem within time series. This is actually a time series problem. It is similar to the sales forecasting problem. The only difference is we are forecasting sales. It is more product oriented. This one is depending on where we will move. Yeah. So I will go through some slides, and I think there is a recorded video for a time series class that we had some time back. So if you don't have really a lot of background on time series, there is a video that has been recorded. Get some time to go through it, and I'm also available. You can push me with questions, though I can get really, really busy at some point, but be persistent. I'm allowing you. So that is what you're going to cover by and large today, the 16th. Subsequent days, we'll do EDA, exploratory data analysis and visualization, with a high bias of time series. So we look at time series data and explore the visualizations within time series. And then the next day would be, we start the modeling. The next scheduled day, which would be 30th July, we start the modeling, yeah? So the modeling is basically we are writing code in Jupyter. Including visualization, we'll be writing code in Jupyter. So the only day that we are not going to be writing code is today, yeah? And between today and the next class, if you didn't have an idea about time series, then you have 2 things, and that will be your take home. Watu wa jana niliwapatia homework, watu wa leo pia nitawapatia homework, na homework yenyu itakuwa get to a comfortable level and understand the basics of time series. You could go through tutorials. I will definitely share those links, and I'll also share some sample notebooks. Go through them and have some basic understanding or even intermediate understanding of time series. Kwa sababu, I think we have 10 classes. 10 classes are going to be intense. 10 classes, 2 hours every day, that is intense, yeah? So during the week, you can do yourself a favor by reading more and more and consulting your classmates. And your classmates are in the same WhatsApp group. I'm going to create a WhatsApp group exclusively for demand forecasting, yeah? All right, we will model with using Holt Winters, and then we model using vector autoregression. All these things will come, you'll come to understand what they are, what they do, and eventually code. We model using Sarima. You'll get to understand what Sarima is, the meaning in full. And then we'll also model using neural networks, yeah? We'll also model using neural networks. And then we'll look at regression techniques, linear regression, ridge regression, elastic net, Bayesian ridge. So the beauty of this project-based is, as compared to the previous classes that we've done, is the previous classes you're going algorithm by algorithm. First you start with the fundamentals of machine learning, and then we go to algorithms, and then we cover each one of them. But now with this problem, we learn how to solve one problem using either regressors, using neural nets, and using the specific algorithms. Guys, just excuse me a bit, just a bit. Okay, so that is the advantage and the beauty of this project-based learning. You'll get a bit of everything. So it's going to be really intense, I must say that. And don't start something that you know you won't finish. So be committed, and make sure that what is expected of you, you do it, because I'm trying my best to do what is expected of me. And let's see where this will take us. It would be my happiest moment if all of us get to the other side, and the other side would be on 26th, where we actually articulate to an audience what we've been up to the past 3 months through practical means. And this is done by someone else, not me, someone else or a team of people who've walked this journey. So it will be an audience for you guys to articulate what you've understood, or what we built in class, all the way to the end. So me, I'll just take a back seat. So it will be my happiest time to see that this comes to light. But it is a period of intense learning and intense collaboration and intense solutions. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for that. So at the end, on 3rd of September, we do gradient boosting notebook, and then we will pick one of those notebook and pickle them. So pickling basically just means wrapping it up into a file that it can be used into production. Yeah, we pick a model and struggle and get to see how we can take this to production. That is on 10th of September. And then once everything is ready, we do tests as a class. We engage our friends, do further tests, and then we prepare for demo day. And the demo day is 26th of September. So that is a roadmap. Pretty intense, and it highly depends on our commitment. Okay? So that would be the slide. The subsequent slide is just what I've gone through. The problem statement that I was proposing. This today we need to agree on a couple of things. What exactly, like I mentioned earlier, what exactly is the problem going to be? And we will hear opinions based on your understanding of forecasting. So before even I make a proposal, please just go to the chat session and consolidate or type in what you think can be forecasted. As I explained, just think through and type it in the chat. And then we will also need to, depending on what you want to forecast, we'll also need to identify what would be the business goal of whatever you want to forecast. What is the business goal? Yeah, and the business goal would be, is there a specific element within which you want to forecast? What is the time frame for that forecasting? Is it short term or long term? Short term is normally forecasting that fall within under 12 months or under 6 months. So that is short term. Long term is you want to do forecasting beyond 12 months. That is pretty very intense. The main reason for this business goal is to be able to know which kind of data do we need. Which kind of data do we need? I seem to have a lot of interruptions. Please just give me a few more minutes. Okay. Yeah. So the reason why this is important is for us guys to have an understanding of the kind of data that we need, and in what format will we need it. And then apart from that, we need to define success metrics. How are you going to measure, or what is the acceptable success for our deliverable? If it was I know most of you guys are familiar with the classification problem. So if it is a classification problem, let's talk about, say, accuracy. Is 60% accuracy or F1 score good enough, or do we need 90%, or do we need 95%? Or if it was like in this case, we have a regression problem. Should we use MAE or SMAP or MAP? Yeah, you will come to know what each one of them mean. MAP is mean absolute percentage error. SMAP is symmetric mean absolute percentage error, and mean absolute error. I know when we are doing regression, we came across some other metrics. But as we know, the regression is normally more of measuring the error in terms of the difference between the actual and the predicted. So if the actual value was say, or in the next 2 days, your sales is going to be 72,000 shillings. And then that is the prediction, 72,000 shillings. But the actual is say 70,000 shillings. So there is a 2,000 shillings there that is error. So the metrics that we'll be talking about in regression, as is the case here, is reducing that error. So these error metrics, MAP, SMAP, and the MAE, the lower they are, the better. So what would be the success criteria that we agree on to measure our deliverable in terms of metrics? Okay. We will also touch on what demand forecasting is with regards to machine learning. I've given a brief of that. And I also gave a brief of use cases. So supply demand relationship management. So you have some stock, you run a marketing campaign. Do you have enough stock? So having a prediction of a possible marketing period in terms of would help you know whether or not to contact your supplier, not only on, it could be on all your products within your retail store or specific products within your retail store. Okay. And then customer relationship management, that is another use case. So a situation where you have customers, I explained, if people are calling in or sending emails or sending SMS messages, how many people do you need in each of those channels? A channel is like now SMS, email, phone call, all those are channels. A channel is just a way in which a customer can reach out to you, okay? And then order fulfillment and logistics. So if you are storing things like, for the case of Jumia, where they bring things from abroad and they store it on warehouses before they dispatch, or even, for instance, UPS. So if they were able to forecast how many requests they're going to get, they will know whether or not to rent out a new storage area, warehouse. So it would help with logistics, yeah? And as I mentioned earlier, forecasting also comes in very, very handy when managing effective marketing campaigns, okay? Yeah, so when we'll be talking about exploratory data analysis, we'll be looking at data cleaning, generation of insights. We'll be exploring and inspecting the data in terms of what information can we get? Do we have certain days that have less orders or less sales or less customer contacts center, customer contacts? Like we have few phone calls from customers as compared to other days. So we will have to do a lot of trend graphs with the forecasting. We normally have a lot of trend graphs to show trend. So we need, because we want to visualize the patterns over a certain period of time. And then the next thing we'll need to do is to try and understand this data. So if we see that a calls normally stream in every Friday evening, or SMS messages normally streaming every Monday morning, what is it on all the products? Is it on specific products? Is it what can we understand out of this data? Yeah, so that is something else you're going to be doing during EDA. So it's intense. Remember that this is very, very intense because you only have 2 hours. So 2 hours trying to digest all this content might be overwhelming. So the recommendation I would leave with each one of you is during the week before the next class, try and gather as much info as you can before the class. And even during that period, you can reach out, we discuss, so that during the class, it's more of what either you did not understand or what a bit specific you're coming for to get specific answers, right? So that would be the best way to learn and get value out of this class. Otherwise, by the time we are getting to the third class, I tell you, you will just see, okay, wacha mini drop to, wacha tu niwache, kwa sababu on the first class haukuelewa ukanyamaza, and then before the second class, you didn't take it upon you to read further and catch up. So the second class pia una float too. The third class tutakuwa tumeachieve so much, alafu utasema tu, this is a waste of time. Let me look for something else to do. That is bound to happen, and I'm so sure it will happen. So at least when you are starting, you need to know how it looks like huko mbele. Unajua mimi ni mrefu literally. Gidi can tell you. I'm tall. I'm almost getting 7. I'm told, so I can see the future. And right now we are talking about forecasting the future.
When is
But
Corona?
I can't see Corona, unfortunately. I'll need to learn from what is it called? From Ebola and AIDS, and I don't have that data. They tend to exhibit the same pattern, but so I can't really predict about Corona. Pole Rico. Yeah, I like what Josephina said, positivity. Yes, exactly, Josephina. I completely agree with you. So let's stay positive and we work towards that. All right. The next slide, we start with modeling. Did I go to the first slide? Yeah, modeling. Sarima, you'll get to understand what Sarima is. Get to understand correlation, partial autocorrelation plots. So the second phase of this class, I will mention some of these things, just high level. So you can pick a few or even all of these words and go and try and understand what they are and prepare yourself. Like it's like you're jogging your brain, so that when the next class comes, when I try and explain a concept, it will be easier to resonate with your understanding. So if there is still some disconnection, then you can ask a specific question, and I will be able to answer a specific question, or not even myself, but even one of us in this class would be able to answer that question, because the understanding of everybody would be different. And if all of us read, then in the next class, all of us will have something to answer, right? So finding best parameters, train and tune the model, and determine this map. So basically the symmetric map, mean absolute percentage error, okay? VAR, what it is, vector autoregression, what it is, deseasonalize, what do you mean by deseasonalizing the training? What does it mean to, or what does it mean to be seasonality within some data set? What does it mean differencing? And then we do modeling, we do forecasting. So there are some terms like now you guys have started hearing those terms. Don't be scared, or even if especially if you're a beginner, it will get better. Using neural network, we will catch up on background of neural networks, build LSTM. The approach on this is I will be explaining concept as I write code, and then the Jupyter notebook that I will share will have the comments and what they are, and then at your own free time, you can follow through and make sure that you're comfortable and you can actually explain it to your peer very, 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 very well. And then what is CNN and what is LSTMs? We will definitely cover this. And then we will also be able to understand the pros and cons of RNNs and what the heck are all those RNNs. All these are neural networks. All right, and then we come to cover regression techniques, simple linear regression, elastic net, ridge regression, Bayesian ridge, XG boost, using boosting techniques. Yeah. All right. Packaging the model. So how we use joblib and the pickle file, we package it, create a pickle file, expose this pickle file via REST API, integrate it with either a website or an app. I know some of us have either done websites and we've done mobile apps. So the exercise that we do right now of building a model is going to save a lot of other people doing the same thing. What you can do is now tell them, this is what we did to access that API. These are the credentials, test it, integrate it with your model. So think of something like this, yeah? We have guys selling clothes and shoes from their car sales. Or those days we used to go to the office. Now that Corona is telling us work from home. I could put stuff in my car, and then when I get to the office, I tell you, hey, by the way, I have sugar 2 kgs. You want, instead of going to the supermarket, yeah, I have eggs, I have cake, my wife makes cake. So the thing is, can you help such people to be able to predict, according to the way you've performed the past 1 year, in the next 3 months, your sales will have either dipped by 10% or by 50%. How can you empower someone like that to ride on AI and ML without them even knowing what the heck these are? It's just prediction. Anakuja kwa nyumba yako na anakwambia mimi naitwa so and so na niko na biashara inaitwa hivi. Sijakuwa nikifanya vizuri the past 2-3 weeks, the 3 months, pesa inakuja inapotea. Na nataka kupeleka mtoto wangu shule next year. Mimi nifanye aje? Can you be able to give an answer to those people using a mobile app or a website? So it's all in your hands, okay? So we package into a pickle file and expose it via REST API for engineers and web developers to consume it, and the developers can consume it and make a solution to such like people by building apps for them. They update their sales on a daily basis, and then they get to see their projection within the mobile app that in the next 3 months, this will be your sales. So if you want to take your kid to the university, up your game, do marketing on this date, and then your sales will go up, all right? So that's the kind of thing that we are doing. And when you listen to me, you might think that it's so easy, but let me put a disclaimer. Wow, Stanley, thank you. Can you hear me? I need confirmation that I didn't lose people. Enrico?
We can hear you, Ayub.
Okay, you can.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we
Oh,
can
nilikuwa
hear you.
ngoja Stanley ongee.
Okay, perfect. Stanley, ni vizuri umenijulisha. I'm sorry, in previous classes I've had the same thing, but the good thing is that this is being recorded. So if you miss something, you can ask, and if the time does not allow, then you will just replay the video. Okay. But thanks.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the alerts, Stanley. Okay, so once we pickle it, we wrap it up and we deploy it. That would be, I think, one of the last thing we do as a class. And then immediately after that, we do some tests as usual. We don't want to be embarrassing ourselves on the demo day. we do tests and make sure things are working, and then eventually there is someone trying to say something. Okay. So after the tests, we do our demo day. And it is my hope and prayer that these sessions be taken seriously, and as a show of the seriousness and commitment, like we actually did something. I was of the opinion that anyone completing the project-based learning path be given a certification articulating what was done, the content that was covered and stuff, including mentioning the project that would be on production. But like I said, when you hear me speak, you might think that it's so simple and it's just easy peasy, like some people say in this house. You might think that it is something easy. Nothing comes easy. It requires commitment, and it requires your dedication and consistency and persistence. And the fact that you've attended this class, I am so sure each one of you have those skills. You have those characters, right? So I think that would be the last slide. For I had shared, that is going to be what we cover. Before I jump into a brief intro on time series, I had requested you guys to share on chat the things you think can be focused. So I'll give each one of us like 10 minutes. Just please type what you think can be forecasted, and then we will go through it when we meet after 10 minutes. We go through it, and then we pick one. As a class, we will have to pick one. I'll pick the top 3, and then we all vote on which one out of the top 3 we pick, and then we run with it. Okay? I'm also going to put what I think as something that we are going to forecast. I'll put it so that it can be considered as one of them. All right, so let's take a 10 minutes break. I can see most guys there are some guys who are in yesterday's class are also in this class. Good stuff. And I hope you will continue to the end. All right, there it is. So we meet again after, it's 8 minutes past 7. We meet at 7:18 or 7:20. 7:20. Okay? Sawa sawa. Okay, guys. I think it's time for the second session. But before we start, we had some exercises we needed to do. I've seen response from 2 guys. So what I will do, first of all, can you confirm that you can hear me? Grace, can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right,
Can hear
perfect. Perfect. So,
2 minutes.
sorry?
2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Okay.
Yes, you said actually 1 minute. You said 7:20.
Okay. Sawa Rico. You have your 2 minutes. So we wait. We wait 2 minutes. So 7:21, that will be okay. Okay, allow me to go through what each one has stated. I can share my screen, so we go through them together. Share screen. I hope you guys can see my screen. So I'll just go through quickly the 1, 2, 3, 4. Though they have small fonts, let me increase the font. I hope that's better. Eriko, unaweza ona?
Mi si kipofu sana.
Gideon ndio ako na miwani. Gideon, can you see?
Yaani you can see niko na miwani.
I can see uko na miwani na hujashare.
I can see. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. So let's go through them one by one. Predict how much support you need for various channels in a service-based company. I like this, mentioned by Faith. So Faith, correct me if I'm wrong, but what you have in mind is there's a service-based company has several customer contact channels like Facebook, Twitter, SMS, email. So you might want to predict how much of queries or complaints come through each of those channels. Is that correct, Faith?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
I think everyone else understands Faith's proposal. We go to Eric. Predict the amount of products to be bought for each day in a restaurant by knowing what sales are made and how much ingredients they use. Wow. Predict the amount of products. So, Eriko, if I'm wrong, you correct me. You have a restaurant with several products, including Gideri. So you want to be able to know, out of all the products this restaurant is selling, Ama beer your favorite. What would be the volumes of this restaurant in terms
Yes.
of? Okay, perfect. That is
It's
pretty
more like
straightforward.
the ingredients used. Let's say, for example, the Githeri one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know what ingredients are put in Githeri, but there are three: water, maize, and beans.
That is for you and me. A lady would say there could be even 6 or 10. Roiko, Kitungu Saumu. Yeah, but I
Oh,
feel
yes.
you. Go on.
So now, if you put, let's say, 1 kg, a portion of 1 kg, 1:2,
Mm-hmm.
that is 1 kg of maize is for 2 kgs of beans,
Mm-hmm.
and then probably you're using around 5 liters of water. You see,
Mm-hmm.
with that calculation,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to know, okay, I will be selling twice the amount of githeri on Thursdays than Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and probably on Thursday that's when I'm selling the two. I'm cooking around 2 kg of maize
Mm-hmm.
and 4 kg of beans. So
Mm-hmm.
knowing this aspect of these specific days the sales is higher by this portion,
Mm-hmm.
it tells me of yes, uh, it's
wachana,
not
wachana, wachana na silence. Guys, if
the
you want
ratio one. Sijasema 20 liters.
to...
So you're able to know like how many maize you'll be using when.
yeah,
So you don't need to buy excess maize. Probably on Wednesday you only cook 1.5 kg of maize,
yeah,
and instead of buying 2 kgs of maize, you just buy 1.5.
yeah,
So you already know the amount you need. You don't need to buy excess. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, perfect. I think it makes sense. Anyone who has questions, you can channel them to Eric. But it's really straightforward. Forecasting ingredients and for the purpose of knowing how much of each you need. Senior.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's go to Josephine. Josephine, sorry, I got your name spelling wrong. Let me correct it. Predicts predict your customer's next order depending on how frequently they order from you. E.g., how Trigger does home delivery, they could be able to predict the customer's next purchase and prepare in advance. I completely agree. Josephine, if I'm wrong, just tell me. My understanding is
Okay.
I place an order from Trigger Foods, and I place orders like continuously for the past, say, 3 months, not on a daily basis, on the days that I
Yeah.
actually need what they want. And then maybe based on my data that Trigger Foods have, they are able to predict. And just before I order, on Friday, I was thinking of making an order. Just before I order, they are at my gate telling me, ndo hii hapa chupa yako ya beer yenye ulikuwa
Order,
umeorder."
yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. You guys get the
Yeah,
idea? Yeah,
that's
perfect. Okay. All right. I think it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, good stuff. And then the next
Do they
one,
do beer?
I have no idea. Josephine, do they do beer? Josephine?
yes, sorry, yes.
Oh, do they do beer? That question came from Eric. I know.
Oh,
I
lol.
know it
No,
had to
it,
come from Eric.
no,
Eric
because
Kokok Anani.
Ayub said beer, so I was confused. I thought they do food.
They do food and fruits. Labda by grapes alafu jitengeneze.
Ajisort.
Ujifamentishe, eh.
Sawa. Eric, make sure you take note. No beer from Trigger Foods. Take notes.
I'll send recommendation.
Sawa. Predict the number of unique customers for a service, e.g. mobile money, pay TV. This is really nice. That came from Grace. Grace, do you want to expound further?
Yeah, because when you do a prediction, and for instance, you see that there'll be an increase in number of unique customers, then you can scale up your infrastructure so that in case the customers increase, then you won't be overwhelmed. Or if you see that there's going to be a reduction, then maybe you can start driving customer retention or winning back customers through marketing and such.
Absolutely. I think all these candidates, all these statements so far are candidates for forecasting, and I like it that the understanding for forecasting is actually home and dry. We go to Gidi. Gidi, predict customer spending based on their historical purchase. Expound further.
If you have more or less like the example there, so you have the customer sales data, then are you able to know how much each customer will spend in the next month, 2 months, yeah, and even be able to predict how your business will perform. Then also, do you need then to put in more resources based on how the customers will be spending?
Okay.
And also seasonality. Yeah, you might find maybe in certain seasons, Easter, Christmas, there's more spending, and then that drives on how also you support to ensure that you meet the customer expectations.
Yeah. I completely agree. This is also a very good candidate for forecasting. And of particular interest, the business who would be interested in this kind of spending, I'm assuming, Gidi, if, for instance, I'm preparing for Christmas, and if someone was to tell me customers are most likely to spend like 3 million a day in your supermarket in the next 1 week as we head towards Christmas, and these are the most likely items they're going to spend on. And when you look at your bank account, you have a quarter of the money required. You can actually use that prediction to lend and justify for you to mobilize or even negotiate with the vendors.
True.
To supply you. So it's a more
exactly.
balancing. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, yeah. Right.
Perfect. All right. I would want to be the last one. So let me skip. Unajua watu wa mwisho, they steal ideas. So I want to steal ideas from you guys. So let me come last. Predict basket purchase. Silas, is it similar to what Gideon had mentioned? Just elaborate.
Yeah, it's similar. So
It is, eh? Okay. Na Silas, umeamua ukuwe weatherman. Umeona weatherman wa Kenya wanatuangusha sana.
I'm just trying to see when is the right time maybe to plant or whatever. What is there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is brilliant. It would be important even for farmers. When to plant, and if there is a lot of dry, whether or not to do irrigation. I think it would be important not only to farmers. There are even road users. You can imagine there are places where when it rains, my friend, you will park on the side of the road because you cannot see even at the front. So this forecasting, kwanza huko kwa Kinairiko,
Hey, my friend.
Limuru.
They're the people who create Nini, who create it, bana. This year, actually, when it rains, we go home.
Bas. Sasa, having known, if someone wanted to go to Western or even Luo Nyanza, and hapo katikati kuna rainmaker kama Silas. Silas akimwambia kutanyesha, hakuna haja utoke hata kwa sababu you won't be able to see. So this is actually another good candidate for forecasting. So what we are seeing is forecasting is important in different ways to different people. And by identifying our customer, we already know how to sell our model. That this is how it's going to impact you, and this is how it's going to help you. So that needs to really come out well when you're building any model. You need to know what problem it's going to be solving. All right, predict capsicum sales. Well, this one was very, very specific. I even have to be careful of saying that word, capsicum. Why capsicum?
It's capsicum. It's capsicum.
Capsicum.
Yes, ho-hos.
Oh, ho-ho. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, good stuff. Are you a farmer by any chance? That is Stanley.
Yes. I'm a farmer. I'm a big farmer.
Ah, Krisha. No wonder.
Actually, I have. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Actually, I have ho-hos in the farm, so I was asking, like, when is the correct time to, like, can we predict sales so that we can know when to maximize profit while the sales are high? And also, when a person comes to you and they are like, "Hey, I'm interested in such a project," would I be confident enough to tell them that, yeah, you would plant them on January, you harvest them on June or something, or like plant them in August, I harvest them this time according to the sales?
Yeah. Absolutely. This is very important. And even the way they appear next to each other, rainfall, capsicum, farmers. The answer to your question, Stanley, is yes, it's possible. And what I would advise is more look at the orders. I don't know if you can get access to this data, but if you look at the orders of capsicum, guys dealing with capsicum can tell you, if you look at the orders in the past for a certain period coming from users, pilipili hoho siku hizi inatumika karibu kila restaurant, at a household. So if you look at the consumption of pilipili hoho per family household, then you'll be able to use that data to make your forecast and then advise farmers that if you want to venture into capsicum, this is the best time to plant, because when it's ready for sale, this is the market that is waiting.
I think also for his point is valid, because there are times when, like in Kenya, there are specific times when, let's say, a certain month, there's high people bring in a lot of hoho. But then at another month, it's low season, so people are not bringing. So if you're able now to bring the capsicum during this time whereby not many people are bringing hoho in the market, you get an advantage of even selling at a higher price. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
getting even
absolutely.
the highest sales.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, fortunately enough, Stanley, if you ever want to design such a survey, we have statisticians amongst us. Faith is a statistician. Hiyo jina hata ni ngumu. She designs surveys and the entire process. So one day maybe we could all just see how you plan to solve that problem. So there is a resource here, maybe unaweza mside chat na nyinyi muendelee na discussion yenyu
Okay.
mpaka ile siku yenye sasa tuna model na tunaweza saidiana sisi wote. Okay. So the next one is of course it came from the next one yangu. Predict the number of orders to be received by a large supermarket for at least 50 of its products from each of its 10 branches that it has. So this is a combination of, you guys have mentioned everything. I told you guys I'm going to copy, yeah? So kuna wenye wamesema customer spending, kuna wenye wamesema orders, basket purchase,
Rainfall.
Rainfall lakini si straightly, it's not so directly connected to hii ya order. But most of these things are actually in this statement. Yeah. So the value that I wanted to put across is you might, as a service company, someone also mentioned service company with regards to customer support issues coming into a company across their various channels. They might have different people working in all those different channels, answering questions from different categories of customers. So you might find the way a customer who is using Twitter asks questions, and even the kind of question they ask is different from the customer who's asking about probably the same product or a different product through SMS or through phone call. So you would want to know which of these teams should you have more, or should you have the same number? Like if you have 3 channels, do you have 555, or do you have 5 on one, 2 on one, 2 on the other? And all this decision is based on the demand of those queries when they come. Same to this one for orders. Yeah. So if you're receiving this number of orders across the various supermarket branches, Rico ameshapanda ama Stanley ashapanda capsicum, anataka kukusupply. How will you know which branch to deliver what amount of capsicum? Will you decide 10 branches, Stanley supply 1,000 crates, so 100 in each branch? Or will you say, hao watu wa Kiambu wanapenda capsicum sana na wanapenda kukula, hii branch ya Kiambu wacha tuweke so 9, alafu hii branch ya CBD, since we have competition, wacha tuweke 100. So those are some of the decisions that are going to help the owner of your model. Now, the big question, out of all this, it is clear that if we pick one, we are definitely going to learn how to implement all of them, because all of them are forecasting. There is only demand and there is product. So it depends on data availability. Do we have the data of each of these projects? And if we have the data, then we need to pick one. If we don't have the data, then we'll pick the one that has the data. All right. So I think up to this point, we are very, very clear on what forecasting is in English. We have not yet touched forecasting on ML. we are clear on how to justify the significance or the importance or the relevance of our model that we are going to build. And we can actually articulate the impact of a model should we get it right. I'm going to pick 3 people who will pick 3 statements from this that we are going to vote from. So everyone here has heard what we have discussed. Out of all this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 statements. I'm going to randomly pick. We have 13 guys in the meeting and 9 statements. I want 3 people. So, can we say that every third person in the list, okay, I know the last list would have a bias, a lot of people, but let's see. Every third person. So the first person is Silas, second person is Becky, the third person is Eriko. Eriko, you're one of the people. And then we go again. The next group is Faith, Gideon, Grace, you're the next one. One, Ibrahim, Josephine, and Nelly. So it is Eric, Grace, and Nelly. Help us pick one of these statements. Don't pick your own. Help us pick one of those statements. Don't pick your own. We need 3 that we are going to vote on.
Scroll up, let me read them.
Okay. So we have predict how much support you need for various channels in a service-based company. And then we have predict the amount of products to be bought for each day in a restaurant by knowing what sales are made and how much ingredients they use. And then predict your customer's next order, depending on how frequently they order from you. E.g. Twiga does home delivery. They could be able to predict the customer's next purchase and prepare in advance. And then predict the number of unique customers for a service, e.g. mobile money, pay TV in one African country. And then predict customer spending based on their historical purchase. And then predict basket purchase, predict rainfall, predict capsicum sales, predict the number of orders to be received by a large supermarket for at least 50 of its products from each of the 10 branches that it has. Okay.
I pick the first.
You pick the first. So that is Grace, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Rico?
Ladies first.
All right. Nelly?
I pick rainfall.
Rainfall. This one. Okay.
Yes.
And then Rico?
The third one. Predict customers next order.
Okay, this one. All right. Good stuff. So we have our 3. Now, I want everyone, apart from the 3, yeah? Everyone apart from the 3 to vote in the chat. This is number 1. This is number 2. This is number 3. In the chat. So you just say you choose either 1, 2, or 3. You vote once. Ntaangalia wenye wana nini, wana rig. So we start. Good stuff. I can see them coming. Let me take notes. Keep the votes coming. Hii ni landslide win kama ile ya Obako.
The server is hacked.
I think ungesema no voting for yourself.
Oh. Nimeona.
Seems there is a bot voting.
There is a bot voting. Hapa tutafungua server. Are we done? I think we are done. This was an easy exercise. So we have 1, 2, 3.
Just count the votes that are not.
5,
It's only one.
6, 7. Okay, we have 7 for 3 and 1 for 2. So 3 has it. Our problem that we are going to solve is this. Yeah? So this is the problem we are going to solve. We are going to predict customers' next order, depending on how frequently they order from the order. So how Trigger does home delivery. Yeah. So we will need to drill down into this and try and refine it, because an order can be of several products. It would be good to see, because the order of, you might, to be able to provide value for Trigger, it's not only the customer's order that we need to focus on. We need, because the recipient of this model will be Trigger. So focusing on customers' order would only increase customer. There's something called NPS, Net Promoter Score. So this is a measure of how likely a customer is to recommend you to other people. So if Trigger is able to focus and get it right, they'll be able to pull things like on Friday, before I order my grapes, I already have grapes. Mtu ananiambia fungua gate, nimeleta grapes zako kutoka Trigger. That would surprise me, and I would definitely make a recommendation. But is that the only value we can give Trigger? Trigger would probably also want to know how much, for instance, if it has, I know Trigger has joints distributed across the various regions in Nairobi. How much of the grapes should they deliver to, say, along Gong Road, because several customers within Gong Road are more likely to add to order grapes. So you see, it's not like you're walking into Trigger. Trigger is bringing this to your doorstep. So that is another value. So it would be good for each one of us to think through what other value we can give Trigger as our proof of concept, or what other value can we add to this problem. And Faith has a point to raise. Faith, please go ahead.
Okay, just a quick one, yeah?
Yeah.
You noticed I didn't vote.
Oh, you did?
I didn't vote because I don't know, maybe I'm of a different school of thought.
Okay.
Reason being, we have the online marketers, yeah? Mm-hmm. The online shops, sorry, the Akina Jumia, Akina Kilimall, all those, yeah?
Yes, yes.
And I've seen how they use the prediction, yeah? For example, to even tell you which sites to visit, based on what you've previously bought. They even recommend things that go well with what you had bought and all that, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that this might be something that has already been done, and it might, I don't know, but this is my thought. It looks more of a cliche that we are picking something that has already been done, so we might not really explore our minds to something that is not there in the market.
Okay.
Because, okay, I believe in something that has not already been done, which can give us more. So I thought, why not pick the same one still predict customers' next order or purchase or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but based on service. Because if you look out there, most of the companies that need predictions are those that are in service, because it's so hard to predict a service. It's so hard for Zuku to charge me today because they don't know whether I'll pay on date, whether I'll pay after 1 month and decide this month I'm going to Safaricom or the next month I'm going to another provider, for example. So I thought service might be a bit more challenging for us more than something that has already been done.
All right. Okay. I really like I really like your school of thought. Guys, you guys voted and we've gone through a process. Are you guys convinced? Because from where I sit, and Faith, you can correct me if I've misunderstood your question. From where I sit, what Faith is trying to say is, how can we be unique and how can we be different with what is offered outside there? And she's proposing that while it's still going to be predictive with regards to customer, but can we make it that can we change it to predicting services? Like now, this particular customer, if we look at the service industry, guys who are doing service, she's mentioned Zuku. Zuku installs internet in homes, and often than not, if you're using Zuku or even any home solution, you're most likely to call them, oh, sina net, account yangu imefungwa. There is no prediction of that kind of sort. Will that make us unique, and will that give us a lot of challenge that is to make us actually chop our brains and deliver something that is unique to the market? Do you guys feel convinced? Please, let's participate and share.
I think that's it's going to be a unique thing, but it's going to be super complex to really understand it, because the service industry is not like a product. It's more of if the problem of internet was this, that will remain that way. Like if they solve that one, it's done. There is no problem.
Okay.
Like if you say it's internet, like in a certain area the bandwidth is 3 mbps and they were saying 5, when they correct that it will go to 5. So unless it's something that is really affecting this bandwidth, like let's say rainy season or something like that, we can't be able to say yes, they haven't fixed it. They will fix it, and then that will create another problem somewhere else, which will not be able to be analyzed from the data, to be predicted from the data already we have. So I'm seeing it being a very tough, like tough area to work with.
Okay. All right.
And especially for learning.
All right.
I think. Oh, hi.
Yes. Is that Nelly?
Yes, it's Nelly.
Nelly, please go ahead.
I think from my understanding,
Mm-hmm.
Faith is talking about customer loyalty. And I think it's a good approach to see if a customer will be loyal to your brand or not. That's what I'm understanding from Faith's discussion. Thank you.
Great stuff, Nelly. Any other person who can contribute?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay, just go on.
Gidi is a gentleman, so
Okay.
just go on.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but it's a bit complex. Like, could we do like transfer learning afterwards? Like, we could train it on this, and then because it's super complex. Transfer learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gidi, you had something to say?
Yeah, just a reaction. I think what Faith has mentioned, yeah, that's good. And yeah, super complex ideas are the best to stretch us. Robert, you will comment on that. However,
okay.
Comment if it's super complex, achievable in those 10 lessons. However, also what I think is important is, I mean, what you're trying to do is to get as a project to get a grip of the fundamentals of forecasting and demand forecasting, which you can be able to now develop further into addressing other problems. So, I mean, if the super complex can be achieved within the 10 sessions, perfect, I think, to be able to stretch us and stretch everybody. If not, however, then we'll be able to grasp the main basics and fundamentals, which then beyond that, we are able now to maybe even address other of the problem statements which are here, but I mean, never selected as a statement for learning.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Any other person? Guys, contribute. Unajua tukianza, when we start, there's no reverse. So, fungua roho kabisa. Any other comment on what Faith has proposed? I'll want to be allowed to comment last. I just want to hear what people say.
Can I say something?
Yes, please go ahead, Stanley.
My point, I love her school of thought, so we can give it a try. People say it is complex but achievable. That's the point. It is complex, but in the long run, we achieve what we want, what the group wants. So I feel like we should give it a try.
Okay.
Ayub, is it possible for Faith to repeat her idea? I had a bit of internet connection.
Yes. Faith, please go ahead and repeat.
I was even actually asking where Grace is.
Because Grace is in the service industry.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why I feel like she's the only one who can understand what I'm talking about and all that. But anyway,
and actually, she's the one who was going through the problem.
Hapa mbona nasikia nikaa kuna corruption hapa.
Hapana, sasa itafunguliwa.
Sawa, Faith endelea.
So I was saying, Grace, we can still do the prediction of a product, yeah, but the product being a service. Reason being, there's so many predictions that have already been done on products with the online shops, yeah, which is the same as Trigger. So I felt we might be repeating something that has already been done there, and we might not be challenging our minds to think further. And so I gave an example of Zuku as a service provider, and how you can they can get to predict their customers and how loyal those customers are to them, and predict when is this person likely to maybe get another package and all that, yeah, basically.
Okay, so we won't be focusing on like the number of customers they have. We'll be focusing on the customers that they already have.
Yes.
And then the likelihood that they'll be loyal, and the likelihood that they'll upgrade to a better package.
Yes, and also, okay, these are not mentioned, but also if, for example, Eric had mentioned that if they were to solve maybe a bandwidth issue, then it means they're all over. But it only means that if they have solved one problem, maybe there's another market that they should be looking at and they have not looked at. And maybe the customers are having they're having that information, but Zuko has not, what is it called, engaged them.
Okay, say that again. If they solve a bandwidth issue.
Yeah, Eric had given an example that if we took Zuko, for example, yeah, and we say they had an issue of bandwidth, maybe, for example, in a certain area, yeah. If they came and solved that, then it means that they will have no other problem after that. So it's like a done deal.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we can't. We are supposed to look at it in terms of, even though they solved that problem and it's a done deal for the bandwidth, there could be more other challenges that they're facing. So
that
it's
the
not really,
customers haven't told them, or
yes,
that
the customers have not told them, because if you look at the service industry,
Yeah.
most of the complaints are not taken in. Most complaints are not taken in. It's not like a product. For example, I'll give an example. If today I bought a blue band from the supermarket,
Yeah.
and I found that it has a fault, as in maybe ilikuwa imefunguliwa and it has a fault, yeah, and I did a copy on social media, for example, you can imagine how fast they respond and how fast they actually take that complaint and resolve it, maybe by placing another order or something. But in the service industry, you find most of these complaints are not taken.
Okay, I'll just disagree with that a bit. I think they are taken because people always report. Like when there's a service issue, people will report. If M-Pesa is down, people will report. If my internet is down, I'm going to call Safaricom. So let's say they are taken in. For instance, the problem with Zuku, I've kept on hearing about it a lot of times, but I'm not sure whether it has ever been resolved. So maybe people do report, but now they take either a lot of time to resolve it, or maybe they don't resolve it at all. But I think people do report.
Yeah. And because of what you've said, there is also another angle that Faith had explained earlier that resonates with what you've said, and which also sparked my interest on the service industry.
Yeah.
The fact that I report 3 times, twice, I could just say, okay, whatever, these people are not listening to me.
Yeah.
And I either just leave them and I get some other people and I move on with my life. And you see, the reason why Faith was bringing in the service industry is, for instance, before you raise a complaint that my internet is going to be down, remember there is a way of monitoring some of these systems back in the office, and monitoring the systems together with looking at my average usage. So for instance, if I was a subscriber for Zuku, Faith, you correct me if I'm wrong. If I was a subscriber for Zuku and I've been with Zuku for the past, say, 6 months. So Zuku has 2 things. Zuku has its own systems for monitoring all its modems, wherever they have taken them to customers. And also Zuku has my usage on a daily basis, yeah? And then also, based on the usage, Zuku also has the number of times I've contacted them. I've contacted them through email, I've contacted them through phone, I've gone to Twitter, I've said something. So with all this data, can Zuku detect whether or not I am going to call them about an issue, or whether or not I'm going to need an upgrade of my internet services? So forecasting this and proactively making certain decisions as Zuku will be of interest as compared to Jumuia and all these recommender systems that are already in the market. But a problem like this kind of forecasting is unique. According to Faith, it's unique, and it gives us a good base within which to stand out from what's happening outside there. So I don't know if I did justice, Faith, to your statement, or I spoiled everything.
No, you actually did it so well.
All right. So Grace, how do you respond?
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. So okay, so on that part of not reporting, we can go with reporting, as you had mentioned. So you report a problem, and then it's not resolved in time, or it's not resolved at all. So you just take your business elsewhere.
Yeah.
You choose another service provider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right there would be, if you were to do this for Zuku, right there would be our problem statement, like our pitching point. The problem will go and tell them, guys, you're losing guys not because you don't want to help them, but because you can do better in proactively reaching out to them. Because hata mimi nikiongea na wewe 2 times, 3 times, I don't get a response, I'll move on. And I know Eric is also with me on that. Erico, Enrico.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, Peter. So it's true. Enrico had moved on. Anyway, I think we've gotten feedback from Grace. Is there any other person who has something to comment on Faith's proposal?
I'm holding back because this is not my team. In fact, this is not my project. I just was a visitor. However, I would want to just contribute.
Okay, go ahead, Becky.
For me, it feels like both projects are good. It's about availability of the data that you have, the viability of the project that you have. And I would want to add to what Faith said, where she was saying, you know, things that are almost mundane. It's already been done by someone else. Trust me, there's a twist that you could add to any project, and it will be so differentiated, and it will be the one thing that will make it the key project. So my take is that let's not look down on a project just because it's been done before, but what is the differentiating factor that could be the missing link that could make it the very unique product in the market.
Okay. Awesome. Great stuff. Any other person who has feedback for Faith's proposal? I can see Shitemi, Sling, Stanley umeongea, umeongea. Shitemi, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think.
Fungua roho.
I think Faith's idea is a nice one.
You think it's a nice one?
Yeah, kwa sababu we can do the project and get to know about it so that mtu asiende kwa field na upate that's the project you're supposed to do and you don't know how to do it. So yeah, I think it's a nice project.
Okay, all right. Okay, Sling, before I speak, I know we've run out of time.
Yeah, I think those are great ideas. I was getting dropped off in some.
All right. Okay.
Ayub, let me just take you back again to the original project. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
So it was to predict customers' next order, depending on how frequently they order from you.
Yes, that is what we had picked. Huh? That is what we had picked. Yes.
Yeah. So Trigger does home delivery, so they could predict the customer's next purchase.
Yes.
Okay. So right now, can Jumia really predict my next purchase? Because that's what I'm wondering. Is it that? So okay, let me say this. If Trigger can predict my next purchase, does that mean that maybe they can start shipping these things to the warehouse if they're not perishable, so that to their warehouse or their stores, so that if I'm in Kiambu and I want these products, I don't need to, okay, if I call them, they'll just tell me it's a few hours away, not 2 days. Because Jumia will tell you we need 2 days, 1 day for shipping, I don't know 1 day for what. So is this what this project was trying to solve?
Absolutely, and I think you've explained something that supports and even makes it even much clearer. Imagine Jumia telling you 2, and Trigger telling you Jumia telling you 2 days or 2 weeks. Trigger telling you 2 hours.
Yeah.
And what the customer would not know is Trigger actually knew. They were just waiting for your order. And as a matter of fact, Trigger could even go further and tell you, I'm outside the door. Please receive this, because according to our systems, this % likelihood you're going to order it. and
Yeah.
you resonate well with that. So that would really impact the NPS. But what Faith is also proposing that would work, you see Trigger is working with products.
Yeah.
How about service? The same thing, but now service. And you see service is normally about complaints, inquiries, you get? So imagine you're using data from Zuku for a while, and the very first time you're about to get an issue, you're about to make a phone call, they tell you no. They're the ones making you that call. So that will also be a good experience too from Zuku. So one is service, another one is product. But both of them is the same thing. It's just forecasting.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay. All right. So I'll want to pick up from where Gidi had mentioned, and it is anchored on what all of you agree that complex. Yes, it is complex, and it will require commitment. And I love the fact that you guys have all engaged and participated in it. There is something Gidi said that is very true. Complex things are always the best. So as guys know that it's complex. The reason why it's not outside there, it's because it is complex. You get? So let's look at it this way. If we attempt this, one of two things could happen. The first one that could happen is we might just hit the bull's eye. The second one is we will learn how not to do something. So whichever way, we will have benefited. You get? So Faith's point is there are so many doctors over there, but we have less surgeons. Can we follow the path of a surgeon and try and make it so that we be amongst the few surgeons? Because it is a need. We all agree it's a need. Now, from my point of view, and I know this is what everyone is waiting to hear, if we can do it, and my answer is a big yes, we can do it. Yes, it is complex, but then again, yes, it can be done. And Gidi, to be straight with your answer, yes, it can be done within the 3 months. So I want to ask you guys, should we become surgeons or should we become doctors? Kila mtu atapata pesa. Daktari anapata pesa, na hii corona bado atapata. Surgeon pia atapata pesa. So whichever way, hakuna hasara. Hakuna hasara kabisa. So one more time, please, in the chat, just quickly, we are 13 guys. I want to get 13 responses of whether we want doctors or we want surgeons. Surgeons will be for Faith's proposal. Doctors will be for product number 3. 5 minutes. Hakuna mtu ametype. I think those are very few words. Okay, zimeanza kuja. Good stuff. Okay, good. Faith, you sent to me, send it to the entire team. Because I want everyone, we all count, the surgeons and the doctors, and then we make a decision. Oh, Gidi uta rephrase hiyo. Ama ni spoiled vote. We need to know what you mean.
You need, okay. So surgeon need a complex one,
Eh. So let's start the count. I'm assuming that we will get 13 votes. So, John. Let's count surgeons first. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 surgeons. Okay, let's start counting the doctors. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we have 4 doctors. Someone could confirm that, and 8 surgeons. Someone could confirm. Anyone could confirm. Eric. Eric.
Yes.
Please counter check. Just go through the chat and count how many surgeons and how many doctors, and then we make a call. I might have missed out. I might have counted 2 or 3.
4 doctors. Uh, 7 surgeons and 1 service project.
Service project, I think iko amerudia. Service project.
So it's 7 votes. 7 votes for surgeon. That's repetition. So Gideon voted twice. One was surgeon and the other one was service project. So
7 surgeons
and 4 doctors.
All right. Okay. So the surgeons have it. So I think we will pick this up. Let's take it as a challenge. What most people normally think as the most difficult thing are the most likely to take us to the next level. So let's not shy off. It's a challenge, yes, and it's good that we all recognize that it's a challenge. That's why every class is going to be very, very important. That's why everything you do after class is going to be very, very important. And most importantly, that's why class participation is going to be very, very important. And so far, having listened to each one of you during this session, there is no reason for us not to achieve this at the end of September. We all have what it takes. That's it. All right. So we have our project, and Faith, you've turned the tables. You've changed the wind. So we will go with the service industry. Now we need to model it. We need to model it, like I would say on this one. We need to model it. What value should we articulate in giving? Predicting customer complaints or customer inquiries as service of what value. We need to package it together, and then this would form how we learn moving forward. Are we together? I'm assuming you're good.
Yes.
Perfect. So I think we are past time. I'll quickly just skim through what the content. There is a video on time series. I'm going to share it. It will be good for you guys to just get a feeling of what it is, time series. What are some of the terminologies? What are some of the processes involved? And you could also read. So I'm going to share content. I'm going to create a WhatsApp group. with each member before I actually leave. Let me just take a screenshot of all the members because you guys will leave with before I want to create our subgroup immediately after this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to create our subgroup. I'll share the video URL for time series and other links within which you can read and expound. I won't give so much content. I'll give something that is more straightforward, step by step, and you focus on that, and then we branch out from that and learn together from that. So when you're not in class, you read and do research, and you reach out to your colleagues either through the WhatsApp group to ask questions, and you will get answers. So for the sake of everybody, if you have a question, if you have a suggestion, if you have an article, let's all put it on the WhatsApp group, and so that everyone benefits. So we move together. Because if it's normally said that you are as strong as your weakest link. This is normally a say that comes when you're going to war. We are at war, my friend. By 26 September, we need to have this model in work. And we need everyone. So our weakest link will be someone who's not doing research, someone who's not reading, and someone who's not participating. So we are as strong as our weakest links. Don't forget that, right? So I'll quickly go through. These slides just to give an overview of what time series is. But you'll go through the video links, yeah. So definition and applications, the techniques, the approaches for modeling, what we mean by moving averages and smoothing techniques. What is exponential smoothing? What is the difference between univariate and multivariate time series? All those we will cover them. I'll skim through. We will cover them by code, and you'll actually get to see how to code those instances. The definition, the slide, the video has definitions where we have time series, univariates, cross-sectional data, the components of time series. Someone mentioned seasonality, trending, cycles, random variations. What are those? So for as long as you understand what forecasting is, you will relate with this. So you will actually relate what you're learning with what you understand as forecasting. So the methodology and the applications, we've already covered some applications. The terminologies, autoregressive model. These are mathematical formulas, but I would advise you not to put a lot of worry or focus on that. But definitely, if you can spend time and understand the mathematics, the better. But it's not a must. What our key objective is to deliver a model that gives value. That is our key objective. The mathematics is hidden in the algorithms that we will use. So you deliver the key objective and then come back, revisit the mathematics, get to understand how the algorithm did its work. So once you understand how the algorithm did its work, then you'll be at a much, much better place. Terminologies, still on terminologies. What is differencing, ARIMA, SARIMA, yeah. Stationarity, the Kifula test, how do you test for stationarity of a trend? What do you mean by autocorrelation, seasonality? Yeah, the methodologies used. Yeah, a bit deep. Like I said, this should just be terms that you hear and you use, but you just move on. Okay. Correlograms. Staki uliniyangu ikatike. So yeah, that word over there. So on your time, you can actually this should just be an idea of the kind of discussion you're going to have for the next 90 days. It gives you an idea of the kind of discussion you're going to be having. Yeah. Some of the visuals and reporting, I know some of these things looks familiar, especially when we are doing a linear regression and we were using stats model. Yeah. explanation of moving average, exponential smoothing, double. We also have triple exponential smoothing. We will pick one in our coding. We will pick and use one. We will use this triple exponential smoothing. And Sarima, the approaches and the different parameters for Sarima. And I guess that would be it. Okay, I skimmed through quickly because we've run out of time. We started late, so I really can't say we've run out of time. We've done, I think, exactly 2 hours or less because we started a bit late. We started 20 minutes past. Iko swali, if there is any question, please fungua roho. If there is none, we meet again next week, Wednesday. Lakini usiende ubangaize. My friend, there's work ahead of us. Take it upon yourself to contribute to the team. Do the research, be comfortable, and come with questions. Guns blazing. Sawa sawa? Any question? Any comment?
So timing is Thursday, eh?
Yeah. Demand forecasting is Thursday. But there is a high correlation between this class and the sales prediction, because sales prediction is still time series, but we'll be focusing on sales. And the data set we'll be using is for sales. So Thursday it is every day. My recommendation is stick to 1 class, at most 2 class. Otherwise, hautawezana.
So sales starts tomorrow?
Tomorrow is image classification. Sales is, I think, Monday or Tuesday. Tomorrow is image. There are guys who express interest on image classification.
So which day is sales, to be precise?
I think Monday. I'll share. I'll share in the group.
Okay.
Yeah. But what you learn on this one is more or less the same as what you learn on sales. But when it comes to implementation, it will be different. Okay. Having no other questions, I thank you guys for your time, and it's good you guys are learning. Let's do this again on Thursday next week. Cheers, guys, and have a good evening.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, Ayub. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Ayub.